we, let me know when we're good. All righty. Morning, everyone. Welcome to those that are here in the room, those that may be watching the live stream or this recording at a later date. We're getting ready for our regular BOCC meeting for October 12th. But before we call the roll, I'd like to invite Mr. Jim Keane up to provide the invocation and lead us in the pledge.
Well, God Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, it's amazing to me with all the things that could demand your attention that you would be interested in us here in Little Elbert County. So we would pray that you would give our leaders here wisdom. Wisdom is something that you promised to give to those who seek it. And may your honor and favor rest upon our county. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. And I kind of neglected to mention that Jim is the chaplain for the sheriff's office, and kind of appropriate during Crime Prevention Month to have him in. So, alrighty, it's 9:02. Could you call the roll, Amanda?
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Pettit?
Here.
Alrighty, first item of business we have is approval of the agenda. I'd accept a motion to adopt.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We next have items on consent. I'd accept a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Alrighty. Elected officials, department head, staff reports. Sherry, did you have anything? No? Dallas? No? Okay, thank you. I think we have anything from department heads teed up. Okay. So we have a couple of proclamations to present today. It's both National Cybersecurity Awareness Month and the annual Crime Prevention Month. So I'm going to start with the cybersecurity, and I want to invite Mike Fisher from Phoenix, who provides our IT support, to give us a little rundown on some of the events that have been happening. What's that?
Person IT going to bring the presentation.
Okay. Oh, okay. We're not waiting on you at all, Mike. Don't worry. Oh, it's on the desk next to Bart. I think. No, that's not. Well, the projector's heating up. I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. So it's recognition of annual National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, October 2022. Whereas the county recognizes it has a vital role in identifying and responding to cybersecurity threats that may have significant impact to our individual and collective safety and privacy. And whereas critical infrastructure is increasingly reliant on information systems and technology to support financial services, energy, telecommunications, transportation, utilities, healthcare, and emergency response systems. And whereas cybersecurity, education, and awareness are crucial for everyone, including large corporations, small businesses, financial institutions, schools, government agencies, the home user, and anyone who connects to the internet. And whereas monitoring your accounts, being conscientious of what you share online, keeping computer software up to date, creating unique passwords and changing them frequently, installing antivirus programs and firewalls, and using mobile devices safely are ways residents can protect themselves from phishing, viruses, malware, financial loss, and loss of sensitive data. And whereas the Stop, Think, Connect serves as the National Cybersecurity Public Awareness Campaign implemented through a coalition of private companies, nonprofits, government agencies, and academic institutions working together to increase the public's understanding of cyber threats and empowering Americans to be safe and more secure online. And whereas the National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Workforce Framework is a free resource to help organizations, both large and small, public and private, improve their cybersecurity practices through a practical approach to addressing the ever-changing cybersecurity threats and challenges. And whereas maintaining the security of cyberspace is a shared responsibility in which each of us has a critical role to play, and awareness of computer security essentials will improve the security of Elbert County's information infrastructure and economy. Therefore, it be proclaimed by the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners that we do hereby officially recognize and designate October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month in Elbert County, and encourage residents to be aware of cybersecurity and take actions to protect themselves and their vital information online. Man, you would have thought that was long enough.
Nah, never long enough.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. There we go. Elbert County security, that's key and important to, as everybody knows, any public sector entity has to make sure that everything is taken care of, or you could be down for a while. We have some stuff going on right now that a county is completely down because of a cybersecurity event. What we've done initially over the years is implement a bunch of stuff that normal standard IT practice would have. What we did is initially is upgrade our spam filtering from the standard Office 365 normal spam filtering that goes on to a more robust proof point spam filtering, which basically allows us to monitor and control the amount of spam we filter out. We can make it stronger or make it weaker depending on what the situation requires. We've also implemented MFA on all remote access to the environment. We have implemented MFA on email access. MFA is basically the multi-factor authentication that goes on where you have a secondary device that gives you a code you punch in to allow access. So if somebody does happen to get your password and log in, they have to have the secondary form of authentication to still get in. Firewall monitoring we've always done. Encrypted backup of data, so all of our data that's backed up is encrypted as it rests, so it makes it more difficult to encrypt in, say, a ransomware attack. And we've also taken data and moved it from not only the sheriff's office to some devices over here. So we have redundant data data reposits. So what isn't up there, but it's been ongoing for a long time, is password rotation. So after a period of time, you have to change your password to a complex password other than what you've been using. What we liked and what we wanted always to do for a long time, and we implemented this year, was a security operation monitoring endpoint detection and response system. Basically what that means is a next generation antivirus. Next generation antivirus, for lack of a better analogy, is antivirus on steroids. So not only does it monitor and look at all the traffic for antivirus stuff or malware type of information or applications that are executable on the actual email or coming into the actual network, it also looks at patterns across the network. So it basically looks at what type of activity goes across the network during the course of a normal day, and if something is outside of that, it flags it and shuts it down. Prime example would be all of a sudden we see a lot of data going from one of the internal servers going outside to the internet to an IP address that's in Ukraine. Is that normal? No. So what it does at that point in time is it sandboxes the actual device sending it. The Security Operations Center goes in and looks at that, determines if it's normal activity that got flagged for a reason unknown, or if it's nefarious activity and we need to be involved to look at it. When it's sandboxed, that device that's been sandboxed has no network access, can't touch or talk to any other machine on the network, and prohibits it from doing any more damage if it's caused, or what it was trying to do was that. So that's what we were really excited about as we went to the next level of defense and deployed that. What's next? We're gonna go to basically training the user a little bit better. Most of all, the FBI had a statistic on their website that 90% of the actual security breaches start off with some type of phishing attempt. So we're going to go to the user now and get a little more in-depth training on what to look for and what not to click on and what to click on. We call it HEAL training, and the reason being is it's got everything in IT has an acronym, or any industry really, and it's so you can better help remember. I put up here some of the percentages you can see in regards to phishing and what it costs companies, what it costs government entities, what it costs across the whole gamut. And everything in there you see is a 3-digit % increase over the years. So very critical to make sure different types of phishing that come across. Phishing is email, spear phishing, CEO fraud. There's also other things that are basically social engineering, where somebody came in and tried to get access to something, maybe sometimes face-to-face or over the phone. Hey, listen, I'm looking for so-and-so, and he's got information. Can you give that to me? He's supposed to give it to me. Some type of engineering in that regard. Heal, like you do with your dog. You're walking your dog, and that dog's pulling you. You tell the dog to heel. That's us every single day when we're doing email and working. We're rushing to get to the next thing and get everything knocked out. HEAL stands for hover, email, look at it a little more closely. Errors, look for errors in an email. And last, use logic in what you're trying to accomplish. We've given a couple examples here. I moved it. I'm back. There we go. A couple examples. This just hit me right at home because it came from my wife. First thing you want to look at is, my wife's name is Carrie Fisher, but her email says it's A.Johnson. Probably a red flag that didn't come from my wife. It's nothing in there. And she's nowhere involved in Atlanta, Georgia, or a chef. Well, she's a pretty good cook, but she's not a chef. But the link down there you'll see was supposed to take me to some other, if it was from somebody from Atlanta.chefs, I would think it would be in the same domain, but it's not. So right away, that's a couple red flags, what to look at. That's on the email. You're looking at the email, so that's the first E, and you're hovering over it like we see here. We hovered over this to get the actual information that's behind that view options link. So hover over stuff, see what the email address is, and if it's from Wells Fargo and it's not wellsfargo.com, probably not legit. Delete it. Secondary over links. So somebody maybe legitimately sent me a link, and I know this person, and the email looked good, and it's from their domain. But the link is kind of odd. I don't know where this thing has taken me. So I might just put that one aside and maybe make a phone call later and say, hey, did you send me something? Make sure it's legit. So the link kind of give it away. Errors, that's the second E, is errors. Look for silly stuff like, please sign into your account is in all different fonts and bold and maybe even italic or something like that. One of the other things you want to look at also, if it looks like it's written by somebody in a different language, probably not legit. If it looks like it's written probably robotically, probably not legit. Whoops, here we go again. Sorry. Bank of America, when you hover over that link, they want you to go in to sign your account. I would think that would be on a Bank of America domain, but as you can see by the highlighted arrow, it's not. So it's not legit. Delete that email. Couple other examples, links in there. This actually was a client of ours that actually was talking to this gentleman, realized what he was sending was from, if it looked in there, it was from Slack files. Slack files is notorious for hackers using those sites to send information to you or to deposit a payload on you and execute it. So right away, they noticed that, caught it, and stopped it. Another one here. If it's not normal activity, can you send this money today? I'm really busy. If that's not normal from somebody you know that's asking for money, pick up the phone. Use logic, the last thing in our deal, logic, and determine if it's legit. Another one here. This one was actually another one of our clients where somebody had actually gotten into their email application, got login and password for user, went in and sent it. This is a legitimate person from that actual domain. Did some research because this company we work with was in Houston doing some electrical work. And they didn't know, but they sent this invoice. It actually literally came from their SharePoint site. It was legitimate. The only thing that was different from their normal invoices, instead of it being mailed to the address, it was a P.O. box. But anyway, she ended up picking up the phone and calling this guy and saying, hey, got an invoice. None of my people seem to know anything about this. He goes, oh my gosh, we got to act. Don't do anything with that. Delete it. So check, and like last I said, nobody got fired for picking up the phone and making a phone call to somebody. So use logic. Into the future, what do we plan on doing? Our people are always looking at what's the next technology to take us to the next level, and make sure that we're always abreast of what's going on. We want to be the next step up to the bad guys, and so they're always looking at that type of technology. So in the future, who knows what it might be, but we always are trying to stay there. And that's it. Questions?
Thanks, Mike. Now, I know we've had, well, you had mentioned briefly, but is in the news, Fremont County was closed down for several weeks because of folks getting into their systems. And I know we had some talks with you and Dean, and, you know, not to reveal what let them into Fremont, but that we were protected on there. I know, Sherry, people have tried to get money from you as treasurer. I've had emails asking from Rick at 5:30 in the morning saying he's in a meeting and can you get me some Apple cards and that sort of thing. So
Does it make sense?
it's always out there. But anything from Mike?
No, but thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, as I mentioned, it's also Crime Prevention Month, and I know the sheriff also had a lengthy PowerPoint. Oh, Amanda? Oh, I guess we do. I accept a motion to approve the proclamation designating October.
I'll make a motion, we approve the Cybersecurity Month proclamation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Amanda. All righty. So it is also Annual Crime Prevention Month, and there's a much shorter proclamation, so I'll roll through that. So whereas the month of October is designated as Crime Prevention Month through a presidential proclamation by Ronald Reagan in 1985, and whereas the vitality of our country depends on how safe we keep our homes, neighborhoods, schools, businesses, and communities, and whereas the crime and fear of crime destroy our trust in others, civic institutions, and threatens the community's health, prosperity, and quality of life, and whereas the personal injury, financial loss, and community deterioration resulting from crime are intolerable and require investment from the entire community, and whereas crime prevention initiatives must include self-protection and security, and promote collaborative efforts to make neighborhoods safer for all ages and to develop positive opportunities for young people. And whereas effective crime prevention programs succeed because of partnerships with law enforcement, government agencies, civic groups, schools, faith communities, businesses, and individuals as they help nurture community responsibility and instill pride. Therefore, be it proclaimed by the Elbert County Sheriff's Office and the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners that we do hereby recognize and designate the month of October 22nd, 2022 as National Crime Prevention Month in Elbert County. So there's that. Before I forget, I accept a motion to approve this proclamation.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proclamation for Crime Prevention Month.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation recognizing Crime Prevention Month. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All righty. Tim, did you have anything you would like to say, or?
Other thing I could add to that is I appreciate the citizens of Elbert County helping our department, even though we don't have the full manpower set, but there's still our eyes and ears out in the county. And they're not afraid to let me know, or one of us know over there, of what's going on in the county, whether it's good or bad. But we appreciate the support, and we appreciate the information that they provide to us to help us keep Elbert County a safe place to live. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
All righty. So moving on, our next item is citizen public comment. Do we have anybody that would like to make public comment today? Ma'am, I think you've been up here before, once or twice. So.
Couple times.
Yeah, we just have the name, address. And
My name is Carrie Giblets, 19656 Wiedemeyer Road, Kiowa. And I sit on the board of directors for the Elbert County Environmental Alliance, ECEA, which is a nonprofit group that was formed 1 year ago. And at that time, our mission read, protect our community by minimizing the environmental and economic degradation from Segment 5 of the Colorado Power Pathway within Elbert County. Our objectives: maintain healthy lifestyles for our families, protect wildlife, protect our local economy, protect the beauty of our county, protect the historic Bijou Basin, maintain property value, limit the spread of big city resource requirements being built within our small county. Our group started out as a neighborhood group called Save the Bijou Basin, but since it has grown to over 250 members representing all of Elbert County. A few months ago, ECEA presented you with a petition signed by close to 500 residents asking for a moratorium on wind, solar, and electric facilities in the county. Thankfully, you were able to revise the 1041 regulations that govern these projects, so the moratorium was not necessary. But just think, 500 signatures that were obtained in a matter of a couple of weeks. The people of Elbert County do not want to see wind, solar, and electric facilities built in our beautiful county for the benefit of the metro area. Xcel Energy still has not announced its route for Segment 5 of their power pathway. We still stand opposed to their current proposed options, pushing them to build it along current transmission routes to minimize its effect on our county. Yesterday I was driving home and I heard a song by country singer-songwriter Luke Combs, which seems to be directly speaking to Xcel and the wind and solar companies who feel as if Elbert County is in the middle of nowhere and is theirs for the taking. And I promise you I won't sing because that would be really painful. But the lyrics say, may look like some empty off the interstate, place between where you've been and where you go. Folks around here, we call it home, from the cradle to the stone. We don't mind, it's all we've ever known. And we like life that way, sweet and slow and simple. It ain't for much we pray, 'cause all we need's a little. So just remember, when you're driving through nowhere, to us, that's the middle of somewhere. I know it's just another drop in the ocean of map dots, but it means more than the world to us. Thank you.
thank you. And, do we have any other public comment? Okay, seeing none in the room. Amanda, we didn't have anybody to be called or email. Okay, thank you. So with that, I'd close public comment and would say I definitely appreciate the work of your group and helping us kind of shape our thinking as we work through the 1041s. And certainly I think we'll all be watching what Excel's plans are as they continue to develop them. I know they were intent on their timeline of submitting something this fall, but as far as I know, we haven't seen any movement since we last met, so thank you. Thank you. And for not singing. All righty, so moving on to action items, we have, discussion items. Discussion of policy for records retention. Bart, I think you had a quick update.
Sure, Bart Greer, County Attorney. This is something that we've spoken about for several meetings now. The records retention policy, for those that are not familiar, is essentially policy or a process which is followed to determine what records are kept and for how long. Obviously, paper records take up space. Electronic records take up storage space electronically for the, creating the need for larger and larger storage devices and servers. So to the extent that there is a management plan that allows the county to keep records secure while also disposing of records that are obsolete or for privacy purposes may be better on being no longer kept by the county. Those are things that need to be looked at. And so that is something the county's looked at. It's something the state looks at regularly, and it's something that all governments have to tackle eventually. And so we are looking at developing a policy for each department and the county as a whole. Each department's going to be slightly different based on what their statutory requirements are. For example, over Human Services, I believe there's the Vital Records Department. A lot of those records are going to need to be kept perpetually. Certain land use records are going to have to be kept perpetually. Sometimes that can be done electronically versus hard copy. So that's really what this policy is about, is kind of efficiency of operations, not keeping records that tend to stack up if we don't need to, and coming up with a process on how to determine those, the importance of those records, how long they should be kept, and how to dispose of them at a certain point in time if they're capable of being disposed of. So that's really what this policy is intended to do. We've got a preliminary policy that I've drafted that I don't think is quite close to where we need to be on a final product on that, but is probably worth keeping on the agenda just so we continue to work on this and eventually get to a point where we have something for each department in that regard.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Nope, thanks. Alrighty, the next was an update on the compensation committee progress. So we've established a compensation committee within the county. I sit on that committee along with HR and our attorney, and then we've got representation from other elected officials, directors, senior supervisors, and really the goal, I mean, we obviously do compensate our employees, but we've got, really haven't documented well how we use our pay scales. We want to put out a document that makes sure that it's very transparent to our employees, how their compensation is determined, kind of what they can do to increase compensation through performance and education, et cetera, and what they can expect from that. But primarily for the county and the citizens, it kind of articulates our our commitment to hiring and retaining quality staff that can serve everyone. And then the big kind of end piece is also something that is affordable. So trying to find the right balance of what we provide in pay, what we provide in benefits, both monetary benefits and quality of the workplace, are the things we're trying to get together in terms of what do we need to focus on? How do we kind of pull everything together into something that makes sense to supervisors and employees, just so there's no confusion. But we've met a couple of times. We've kind of got a structure of the document. We've worked through kind of what the legal underpinnings, statutory requirements for compensation are. We've developed a kind of a one-page compensation philosophy to guide the rest of the document. We've worked through the portion on how the pay scales are developed, maintained, and then applied to the individual employee. The kind of next up is benefits and the sustainability piece. But I intend to have something on the street by the end of November. So this will be something that kind of dovetails and comes in with the budget process as we get to our approvals in December. But that's where we're at. I think we've met formally twice. We're meeting every Monday. This was a Monday off for Columbus Day, so we took a little 2-week gap to gives us some time to do some editing on the documents that we started with and the discussions we've had. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So, you guys have any questions? Me? That's fine. But seeing none, we'll just move on to where we're at in the budget process.
In the budget process, we've hired a consultant that helped develop OpenGov software, and he's retired now, but he's going to help us get things cleaned up so that we can get a preliminary budget by the 15th per statute. Departments are getting their final projections in through the end of the year so that we can get a good estimate on what our beginning budget or beginning balance will be for 2023. And as we move through the process, we'll be making some adjustments to the budget after the 15th and have, not a finalized, but pretty well put together budget for the public hearing in November. We do have a budget steering committee, and we're going to try and meet next week after we do get the preliminary budget together so that we get several sets of eyes on it and make any changes that we need to come up with a good product. So I think we're progressing, but not as fast as we had hoped. But hopefully we should be on time here for public hearing and everything.
Thanks, Rick. Alrighty, so that's what we had for discussion today. Action items are relatively quick. We've got consideration of our minutes from September 28th. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes for September 28th, 2022 as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to adopt the minutes as presented from September 28th and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Alrighty, the next is just some recommended fee changes for special district service plans. I guess that's Stephen. Thank you.
Stephen Hayes, Community Development and Services from Elbert County. The code allows the Board of County Commissioners to determine a waiver on a case-by-case basis for fees that may not match what our service requirements are. We have a written request from Rattlesnake Fire District asking to reduce or eliminate the application fee for their review. The department has no objection to that, and it's up to you. We'll implement whatever your vote is.
Was there a recommendation?
Yeah, the staff recommends that that the board grant an exception to the Rattlesnake Fire District per that code section, and that in this one case, reduce the fee to not exceed $1,000.
Thank you. Any discussion here? Or?
Just the one comment is it's kind of an intergovernmental thing in that Rattlesnake does provide services to the county.
Yeah, and this is just an amendment to their current service plan. It isn't a new service plan. They're really just updating it. They're not changing any services or funding or anything like that. So charging a full fee, I don't think it would be appropriate where it's not a new district or anything. And plus trying to work with other governmental agencies and trying to preserve tax money.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same thinking. I mean, it's kind of a trading of citizens' tax dollars. So there is some work that is done by our staff, obviously, but it's certainly not a brand new plan with so the $3,500 fee probably wasn't appropriate, and we can look at that going forward if we establish something, a separate line for other governments, or work through an IGA with the other governments we support, because I know there's quite a few things that they're exempt from our regulations on to start with. This certainly wasn't one of them, but I think that's a good future look. But for now, we have a recommendation to reduce the fee for the update to the Special District Service Plan for Rattlesnake Fire to $1,000. I'd accept a motion.
I'll make a motion. We reduce the fee to $1,000 for the service plan for Rattlesnake Fire.
Second.
The motion and a second to reduce the service plan update fee to $1,000 for Rattlesnake Fire. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just moving on to board planning for our next meeting. We should likely, I think, have either on consent or in action recognizing the receipt of our draft budget on the 15th of October. I'm sure we'll have some discussion on budget at that time as well. Obviously, minutes from this meeting. Do we have anything else that you can think of? Yeah, so at this point, that'll get us started, and if we've got other items rolling, we'll pick those up as well. We're kind of coming into the holiday season where there's a lot of kind of end of year things that just pop up that have to be taken care of as a kind of just a matter of general business housekeeping. So with that, we have no land use at 1 p.m. So unless there's any further business,
I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.